Michael, you're gonna have to come out now.
Who are you?
Come out with your hands up. Bring out the hostages.
Hey, you tell these people to put their movie tickets away. Put their movie tickets away. I'm gonna spoil them. I'll spoil them.
Don't you do that, Mike.
I'll spoil them. Cinema! Cinema! Cinema!
No. You mad.
The following podcast contains spoilers for a dog day afternoon. You have been warned.
Hello? It's a banana. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Judgement, along with your host, Miguel Gusto.
Hello!
Howdy do, my friend.
I do D well. How do you?
Oh, I did just do D, but I'm also do D'ing pretty well.
Glenn, I love you, but we don't need to share everything with each other.
You take that back right now, you son of a bitch.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Did you happen to watch any movies while you were dutying?
Believe it or not, this week was kind of lighter than normal. It was kind of a light week. I did watch one that wasn't like our normal thing. I didn't listen to that podcast nearly as much. I kind of just was a potato, not at the desk this whole kind of week for once. It's pretty almost nice. But the one movie I did watch that wasn't on our little catalog was Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to rewatch that. I don't know why. I just had a little hankering for some Arnold. It's been an Arnold year, this little 2023 that we've had.
For you, maybe.
We've watched a few, I feel like. Or at least we've talked about them a lot.
We've talked about them a lot. I feel like I've only watched maybe 3 tops.
I mean, that's still a pretty good...
I mean, when I've watched 20 Ingmar Bergman movies this year, it doesn't feel like that
everything
much.
else is veiled by that.
Exactly.
So I did rewatch that. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the world building of Conan the Barbarian. It has, unfortunately, aged so much that it feels more like a 70s movie than it does anywhere in 80s, but it is early 80s, so at least it's got that going for it. And I was talking to you the other day about, oh man, we should do a little thing about like remakes that should deserve to actually be remade, and then you brought it to my attention that what was it, 2011 Conan Barbarian or Conan was a thing, and I was like, oh my god, I completely forgot about that movie. I didn't see it, but anyway, moving on from that, we did end up watching Old Boy this week instead of Blue Beetle, which I mean I might still get around to it eventually, but I'm in no rush to go see Blue Beetle.
Depending on what comes out this week, we might watch it this week.
That is true. It's either that or Gran Turismo, which I've also been hearing weird things about that. So who the fuck knows? So we could be seeing Blue Beetle, but we did see Old Boy, which is a classic. It was at the theaters. God damn, what a movie. If you don't know about Old Boy, dear Lord, is that the twist of so many amount of fates, which, we can get into unless you want to watch it yourselves, which you should actually do. But after that, of course, I watched Dog Day Afternoon, which is the last of my little movie excursion that I've done. Mike?
Yes?
What have you been up to?
I had a pretty light week myself, actually. Excuse me.
Are you okay?
I just chugged a soda before this, which was a horrible idea, so I apologize. I only watched 4 movies, which is a light week for me.
Yeah.
The first one I watched was Landscape with Invisible Hand. It's a movie that it's an independent movie about like aliens living kind of as like corporate overlords of humans. And goddamn, if this isn't a huge allegory for class differences, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked it. It is kind of weird at times, which is why I didn't love it. But I thought it was really well made. But yeah, it's a really solid movie. I highly suggest people check that out. Really, if you're an artist, it's gonna make you hurt. It's gonna make you hurt so bad. Yeah, I won't get into it anymore.
Just go watch it and feel their hurt.
Yeah, go watch. Yeah, with you, we watched Old Boy. We were gonna do a review for it, but afterwards we were like, let's just let it happen.
Let's just take that in.
Let's just. We've seen it before, but let's just experience it.
Which is such a movie to experience.
Yeah, every now and then you kind of just want to experience something and without having to think about what to say.
Yeah, it was really good seeing it in theaters. Yeah. I will say that.
Yeah, had to fight some people. But not really. They were just
the fisticuffs in the form of words. I had to ask them to be quiet
way too far into the movie. But they, to their credit, were relatively quiet after that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Old Boy, fantastic film. Highly suggest people check that out. If it's still in theaters, go see it in theaters. Then I watched Dog Day Afternoon, which we're going to get into in just a minute. And then last night, I watched the newest of the Girl with a Dragon Tattoo series, which is The Girl in the Spider's Web. It's the second American film in that series. This one's with Claire Foy. I thought it was okay. Didn't love it. The Swedish ones and of course the David Fincher one are so much better than this one is, but this one wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It's just comparing it to the rest of them, it's just like, why did they even bother?
Because it's got a pretty good fan base.
Yeah, it does have a pretty good fan base. But yeah, it was good. I didn't have any problems with it. It just wasn't the Swedish or David Fincher one.
Yeah.
That's legitimately the only problem I had with it. But yeah, that one was pretty good. But that's all I watched. So without any further ado, let's get into Dog Day Afternoon.
There's no money here.
What are you doing in there? We got you completely by the balls. You don't believe me? I'm looking you right in the eye.
I'm telling you, there's a way out of this thing. We got the hostages. We make the demands. We get a helicopter here. It lands on the roof and takes us to a jet. I got some people in there that are hungry. Can you get some food for them?
No problem. What do you want?
What I owe you for this?
No, I paid for that.
No, I got it. Is there any special country you want to go to?
Wyoming.
I feel like that's the fastest we ever got through that.
In a long time, it's the fastest.
God damn. 3 amateur bank robbers plan to hold up a bank. A nice simple robbery. Walk in, take the money, and run. Unfortunately, the supposedly uncomplicated heist suddenly becomes a bizarre nightmare as everything that could go wrong does. Directed by Sidney Lumet.
Lumet. We went over this.
You act like I absorb knowledge and take it in. What am I, a sexy sponge?
Yes.
Written by Frank Pearson, P.F. Cluj. I'm pretty sure I said that the same way as well. Thomas More. It stars Al Pacino, John Cazale, Penelope Allen, Sully Boyer, Carol Kane, Beulah Garrick, Sandra Kazan, Marcia Jean Gertz, or Jean, Amy Levitt, and John Marriott.
Don't forget Charles Durning.
Fuck. Charles Durning. He's in there too.
Plays Pappy O'Daniel in Our Brother, Where Art Thou?
Lance Henriksen.
Yeah. And Susan Sarandon's first husband, Chris Sarandon, who was also the voice of Jack Skellington.
God damn, there's so many people in this little film that no one knows about. So, Dog Day Afternoon has been on my list for a very long time, mainly because I know a lot of it is just Al Pacino's, one of his best performances, obviously besides, Godfather and all that. But this was like, when I was deep into his movies, what was it, 2021 or some shit like that, when I started watching all of his movies.
Yeah, something like
that. That one just decided not to be on any streaming platforms. So like all of the other ones, I got most of them. I at least watched 5 of them, I think. All the other ones, I had to switch through the platforms, and this one was just like, sayonara, pal, and then just dipped out. But finally, it ended up on the good old Criterion channel, the Lord and Savior, Jeebus Christ. I love it so much.
Jesus Criterion channel Christ.
Yeah. All hail, That's actually, don't What? Anyway, yeah, holy shit. It kind of opens really quick, and I'm pretty hype about that.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to expect from this movie. I've seen snippets of things, especially like the, ATTICA stuff and all that.
Yeah.
And just like him pacing throughout the bank. But I've never seen fully what the extent of the movie is. And it opens and it kind of gets into it really fast within like 10 minutes? And I'm down for that.
I would say even like 3 or 4 minutes, like, because if you're including before they pull out guns. Because like the first
more of when the cops show up. I wasn't expecting how fast they showed up.
Yeah, I mean the bank heist itself starts within the first 3 or 4 minutes.
Yep.
And then you're right. The cops show up around the 10-minute mark. Probably. I'm guessing.
If that, I didn't have a stopwatch saying, all right, when are these fucking guys getting there? But yeah, it opened up quick, and I was kind of. I was very happy with that because it didn't hold back anything. It didn't try to do like any crazy character development on anybody. Like for you trying to get into his feet, not his shoes, just his straight up just steal those bastards, take them. It didn't. It just jumped right into it, and you developed as it went, and you got to understand who he was as you were going, which was pretty swell.
Yeah. It really is just from beginning to end an electric movie, to the point where there's like the filmmaker felt that it didn't need a score. Like all the music in it is practical, like it's on the radio or on the TV or whatever, and the rest of it's just silent and just atmospheric noise and everything, and it immerses you in the story so quickly because of that. The craziest thing about this to me is that it was made only 3 years, or it was released only 3 years after the actual heist happened.
Speaking of, I didn't even know that it was a real thing.
I told you that so many times, and then it was at the beginning of the movie.
You act like I'm a sexy sponge.
You are a sexy sponge. Don't you let anyone else tell you otherwise.
If only we could tell myself to not make myself feel bad.
SpongeBob Square Thong is what they call you.
Oh, sweet God, and I'm riding up that ass.
Anyway,
sir.
I had watched this before. Actually, that would have been a good thing to look up when the first time I watched it, because I think I watched it after I started keeping track of when I watch everything, and until I started watching the movie, I forgot how it ended. And then maybe 15 minutes into the movie, I remembered how it ended. And I was just like, I was just transported back into how devastated I was. Because, the first time I watched it the first year that I watched 365 movies in a year, 2015.
God damn.
I watched it in January of that year, so pretty early on.
Oh, really early. But
it's... Because they do such a good job, even though you only are following these people, Sal, Sonny, the bankers. You're only following them through one day. And it does a really good job at, regardless of how you feel about robbery, making you feel for Sonny and Sal. They're likable characters, whether you should like them or not. And especially under today's lens, where being a member of the LGBTQ community is not as big of a issue as it was back then.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it's just the thing that is the most devastating about it is that everything about the reasons why he's robbing the bank are still problems today.
Yeah.
People not being paid enough. He kept mentioning how the bank tellers only made so much money, which is why they were kind of on his side, even though they were victims in this scenario. Even the bank manager was like, I don't make enough to be a hero. Like,
hey, listen, man, I make salary. I'm not. I'm not trying to go nuts here.
And then of course, like the whole idea of like police brutality is how every single time he was out there, they pulled a gun on him
Yep.
Everyone pulled guns on him, even though he was unarmed.
All 250 police officers.
Yeah. Like, talk about excessive.
Yeah.
And of course, the famous scene where he shouts Attica over and over again is based on the prison riot where in Attica, of course, where the force among police officers was so much that I think it was like 34 people in total died, 9 of which were prison guards, and every single person, with the exception of 2 inmates, were killed by guards, including the 9 guards that were killed. They were killed by other guards. Like, that's how excessive the brutality was, is that guards killed their own just in the chaos of everything. If that doesn't show you excessive force, I don't know what will.
When did that happen?
In 71, I want to say.
Oh,
so it was like a year before.
Well,
that part was
sense.
Actually, I think it was ad-libbed by...
It was.
Pacino, so it wasn't
Pacino.
Really... But
he gave credit to somebody for the idea to say it.
Okay, so I was wrong. 10 correctional officers were killed, 9 of which were killed by correctional officers. So only 1 correctional officer was killed by an inmate. The rest were killed by their own.
You know, despite uniforms, everybody just kind of blends together when you're in a bloody rage, I guess.
Not that much.
No, definitely not that much.
I mean, it should also be, organized enough where that's not going to become an issue.
Tell you what, it was after that.
Yeah.
Oh, salud, brother.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Back for seconds.
Death comes to us all. But the whole idea of like the hopelessness that he was feeling, even though like the reason he was robbing the bank was to pay for his wife's sex change, his second wife's sex change.
Yeah.
That it still showed that like there was a reason, like he couldn't get a job because I forget what was the reason he said that he can't get a job. That it's like requires experience.
He didn't have a union.
Oh yeah, there was no
license.
union, which I think unions are better now because you can
Unions
get a job.
are much better now.
You can get a job without being in a union, but you have to pay union dues once you're in that job.
Yep,
is how it is now.
That's how UPS was.
Yeah, at least a lot of. I'm not an expert on all unions, but like SAG-AFTRA, the WGA, DGA, PGA. Pretty much all the industry unions, UPS is like that. I'm assuming Starbucks is like that because otherwise no one's going to work at Starbucks.
Yeah.
So it's just the whole idea that like it's difficult to get a job. This is the only way he thought he could make money. And he didn't want to be a bank teller, even though he had experience being a bank teller because they don't get paid enough. I can tell you from experience that is 100% true, even today. They don't get paid enough.
Yep.
It's just this gave me flashbacks of working in a bank. I was like, no.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I forgot you worked there for a while. You were there for a minute too.
I worked at 2 banks. The first one I only worked at for 4 months because I knew after a week that I was going crazy.
Yeah.
Just being there. So I was like, I need to look for another one. The second one. I didn't have the luxury of taking a part-time job instead of a full-time job, so I had to stay there longer. But I was pretty much 2 months in looking for a different job and stayed there for 10 months total. But I've had friends tell me that like when I worked at a bank that I was like massively depressed. like I was not able to hide how depressed I was at all to any of my friends.
Yeah.
Because working at a bank is horrible and sales just make it shitty. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I was glad that I was able to rewatch it because you picked it. And it is honestly, I liked it a lot more this time. I don't know how, but I think it was just because I was watching it like analytically. But
you also weren't. To be fair, you watched it very early in the 365, but you weren't cranking 365 movies out for that year.
In January of 2015, I watched 45 movies, so I watched more than one a day.
Yeah.
So it was like I watched a lot in the first month, and then
Yeah,
it's
you
kind
can
of
sit there and relax on it, especially since you had a lighter week too.
Yeah,
I'm sure you were like, oh, bless Brendan Fraser.
yeah.
Thank you,
But,
Lord.
Yeah, Al Pacino's great in it. Anytime I see John Cazale in a movie, it makes me miss him, and the fact that we lost him so young. I think he was like 45 when he died from cancer. 42.
Three years after this,
Yeah.
I think.
Like he only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies to his name before
Jesus.
he passed away. Well,
2 or 3 were Godfather, right?
part 1 and part 2 were Godfather, and then the Godfather saga, which I'm pretty sure was just the Godfather 1 and 2 split up into 4 episodes.
Yeah.
So really, he was in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies.
He was in Deer Hunter too. That's a
Yeah.
banger one to go out on.
Yeah. Did you see Deer Hunter?
Not yet.
Yeah. Well, we will have to watch that. But like, he's such a great actor in everything he's in. I mean, like Fredo Corleone is one of the most iconic characters.
I mean, that catalog on its own is. That's saying something. That's a great catalog for somebody.
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason that he stopped acting is because he had cancer and then ended up dying from the cancer. But like,
Ironically, from lung cancer, which his character in this movie didn't want to happen.
yeah. I think that if he had not died, he would be mentioned in the same breath as like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Because he's fantastic, and probably the only reason he didn't get leading roles is because of his hairline. Like,
Yeah.
that's the only reason he was balding.
Well, he definitely,
which isn't a problem, of course. It's just, especially back then, movie execs were shallow about shit like that.
Well, he was definitely getting recommendations from Pacino and those guys, so
Yeah,
it kind of balanced in a way.
absolutely.
It's majorly why I don't get the same roles, because my hairline,
Yeah,
not because of my skill and talent, which I don't have.
yeah.
All because I'm a sexy sponge.
You are a very sexy sponge.
But yeah, this movie was kind of something else. I'm seeing right now that it's 8.0 out of 10 on IMDb, and that's kind of crazy because I feel like I imagined that it would be a little higher. I assume because of how much it's talked about.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little lower because of the LGBTQ, like, plot line. Because like, even though it's very
people not liking it because of that.
People who are homophobic are stupid fucking idiots.
It holds up very strongly to today, like you were saying earlier.
There's 2,000 votes at 1 star. If that doesn't scream LGBTQ or homophobic asshole, I don't know what does.
Jesus, how do you? What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Let's see how many of those are United States. Oh, actually 700. So, no big deal. It's just almost a third.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fantastic film. It's scary how relevant it still is today.
Mm-hmm.
And that not just because it's like based on a true story, but it's just from beginning to end, it is just an electric film. Like there's really no breathing room.
Yeah, and like honestly, if you did try, not that they should, if they did try to kind of remake it today, like the only thing that would change is just like the technology. Everything else about it is just human emotions between people. Like just compassion, all of that stuff. And fucking Pacino kills it with the compassion, and all the cast around him, the women, once they, everybody, all the bank employees, once they start kind of learning that, this guy's not actually out there to hurt them. He's just trying to mosey this along so he can get out and then pay for his wife's surgery, and they don't even they're not frightened by him anymore. They know they're not going to hurt him. He's trying to feed them. He's trying to get them if they're getting sick or overwhelmed. He's trying to get them out of there. He's there for their well-being because he put them into that predicament and doesn't want to.
Yeah.
So he's great at this, and just for compassion alone, and just everyone around him supports him very well.
Well, I think personally speaking, that obviously within the movie, the villains are the police and FBI. Because you kind of want them to get away, even though they're probably not going to. But, like, I don't know if this would happen today. I don't know what protocol is for... I
feel like this would happen way differently today.
Yeah.
Because...
I mean specifically, like, the ending. Like, I don't know if today, if they would shoot someone in the head with a bunch of hostages around them, unless that person was like an immediate threat, which it was obvious that Sal was not an immediate threat.
Yeah, they were trying to paint him more of the threat than they were Sonny.
Yeah, but he was just kind of stupid and like when he told Sonny that he was ready to kill people, you could tell that he didn't really believe it. And, I mean, I like to think that he didn't believe it, but like he just kind of
find out he's a good Christian boy.
Yeah. He just kind of seems simple. I mean, the fact that he said that he wanted to go to Wyoming, like that's the country he wanted to go to, you kind of just see that he's kind of simple and maybe like overly loyal to Sonny.
Yeah.
And so while he was painted as the more aggressive one, I don't know if I necessarily believed that it was true. I don't know what Sidney Lumet's intention was with that, but I thought that it was absolutely just heartbreaking that he did die in real life. I don't know what the real Sal was like either, because this is a fictionalized version of the story.
It did say that the true story itself was so very over the top that they just had to like tone it down big time. I can only imagine what the real story is like if they had to tone it down in such a way.
Like I'm sure there's a documentary about it. I'd have to check that out.
They said they didn't want to use the actual like Sonny and Leon's like wedding stuff because it was so over the top. So I'm curious what that means as far as being over the top. Like, were they just so extravagant that it would have just been so out of character for the characters they made in this?
Maybe.
And I can only imagine Sal. Poor Sal, dude. He got fucking shit on.
Yeah.
There's like points where like you're starting to, like, at first when he's like, I'm ready to kill everybody, you're like, oh, I don't really like this guy right now because of what he just said. And then like as it's going, he's like, fucking what's the word? He's just exasperating out a bunch of sweat. It's not exasperating, I know, but he's just sweating so much because he's so nervous. He just wants to.
Well, they also cut off the AC.
That too. But like it was definitely a combination of like his face alone was just fucking nervous. He just wanted to get out of this, and then obviously he's holding a gun to everybody, just kind of nervous about that. And then he's in the home stretch, and like he's just boom. Oh man. Oh, see you, Sal.
Well, I mean, it's honestly to an extent. Obviously, it's their fault because they committed, but like
100%, they did the wrong things for the right reasons, but they still did the wrong thing.
Do not go in. First of all, don't rob anything, especially a bank. I legally have to tell you not to rob a bank. But if you find yourself in this situation, just know that no police officer is going to let you go.
Nope.
Not at all. No matter what. Like, you're
either going in dead or alive.
Yes.
Preferably alive,
and
so they don't have to look like the bad guys.
Their job is to just lengthen the timeline so that you let more and more hostages go, or they get a chance to escape, or they are able to come in and get you without killing any civilians.
Yep.
So I should not have drank that soda during this. I'm sorry. So
a little gassy fella.
Yeah. Like the fact it's heartbreaking to me that like someone like them would think that they would be able to get out of there, because that's not going to happen.
Luckily they thought. I mean, not luckily. They thought they had the right intel. They didn't want to hurt anybody. They were going to be in and out in 10 minutes. If it had gone to plan, they probably could have gotten away with it. Especially back then. Now it's significantly more uptight. Everybody's got cameras. Everybody's got everything. Yeah. You're getting caught one way or another, no matter what.
What you should do with a negotiator is negotiate the dropping of charges.
Yeah.
If you're a smart, like they're not going to drop everything. Like you're going to go to prison. Mm-hmm. But if you cooperate with them and instead of trying to negotiate an escape, negotiate dropping of charges, you might get off pretty easily.
You're definitely not getting off, but you're getting off a little later.
Yeah. Like they said, I mean, like what they said, it was a felony and that, so it would be longer than 5 years. But like, who knows? You could. I think being able to negotiate your sentence to be only 5 years is a lot more realistic than getting a plane to Algeria. So
yeah, I mean 100%. But I think their thought process behind it was it looked like a smaller bank. Like it was just kind of like just a regular road. It didn't seem like some big world bank or anything like that. So like
I think it was a bigger bank in real life.
Yeah, probably. But where was I going? Oh, but
Sorry.
Like it seemed like a smaller like set bank, so like it didn't seem like it would have had that amount of danger. But I feel like, I mean, obviously they fucked up. They fucked up pretty majorly. They got the wrong intel, yada yada, and probably that guy that dropped them the intel kind of sabotaged them because those cops got there really fucking quick. So one way or another, they were screwed. But they had a plan to get in, get out, hurt no one, and just mosey on with their life. But, obviously it didn't go that way too well.
Yeah.
And for the better, I guess, because it quite made a movie, even though a real person died. So, sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sorry, Sal.
Yeah. But yeah, I absolutely... This movie's kind of... There's not much to say about it because it is essentially just one really long sequence. With that, I think it shows a lot about humanity in desperate times, and how you could argue that the tellers were experiencing Stockholm syndrome, but in this, I would argue that it was more just people tired of being underpaid, understanding why someone would want to rob a bank.
Yeah.
And it's especially like when they were fairly certain that they weren't going to be hurt. It's just like a fantastic movie overall with from beginning to end. I don't know if I would change anything really.
There's nothing really to change.
Yeah.
Like even like the part that's kind of like hiccupy, but it's hiccupy in the best way is like the improv. The improv is what makes it because it feels like a real life kind of like negotiation.
When him and Moretti are just like yelling at each other.
Yeah, like even that specifically, and then just the whole movie feels like people are just fucking talking to each other, and like a camera just happening to be like recorded.
Yeah,
like every interaction actually felt real because people are gonna stutter, people are gonna yada yada. It's not gonna be clean cut conversations with cuts back and forth. Like it's cameras swaying, everything. Like it felt like a realistic type movie, and that was really nice to see in my eyes.
Sidney Lumet, the director, he's fantastic at small films. First of all, he was born in Philadelphia. Woot. So he is one of ours. He'd be rooting on the Phillies and the Birds and the Flyers and all that. But he directed 12 Angry Men, which is the best film to take place in one room ever made. And so, like, to see that he was able to... A relatively contained movie. Not as contained as 12 Angry Men, because that's just a single room. But, it's the bank, the street, and then the last 10 minutes is, like, them going to the airport. To keep that electric and moving... He was the best choice to direct this. I don't know. Did he help write it? I can't remember. Yeah, he didn't help write it. So whoever chose him to be the director,
kick-ass job, man. Kick-ass.
Nailed it. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic film. Yeah. One of Al Pacino's best performances.
I'm definitely not disappointed in the slightest. It exceeded the expectations, even though the expectations were already high, because everybody was boasting so hard about it. It was a great film, great improvisation, great camera work, great story overall. I'm super curious about how the real story went, because if it was so over the top that they had to dull it down, that is insane.
I'm definitely going to be looking for a documentary about this, see if they released one, because it's a fascinating story. I even remember thinking that when I first watched it back in 2015, but I had no time because I was watching a movie a day.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could have watched it, but, you know.
But also,
times have passed.
A bunch more movies to watch.
Yeah. But I don't really have too much else to say. It's a fantastic film from start to finish. There's not like a minute of fat that needs to be trimmed. It's just a solid, well-rounded film.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
I think that's it for me as well.
All right. So that does it for our review of Dog Day Afternoon. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Pacino and Handmaiden. Glenn picked this movie. So, Glenn.
Oh.
Does this go on the shelf? I must know.
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, because it definitely goes on the shelf. It's a fantastic movie. Like I just said, it exceeded my expectations, even though they were already high. Definitely one of Pacino's best. Everybody was just gung-ho and great in this, so it's hard to say no to something like that. And it holds up today, which is really hard to do for the most part, just with every single topic. So I would say, yes, it goes on the shelf.
Yes. I would wholeheartedly disagree.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
I think it is horrible. It is the worst movie I've ever seen. I'm one of the 2,000 people that did 1 star.
700 in America.
Yeah. No, this is a fantastic film. More than anything, it makes me wish John Cazale was around to act in more stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still, like I said, one of Al Pacino's best performances. It's electric through and through. Sidney Lumet is from Philly, so you gotta give him some points for that. So
bonus.
Yes, it absolutely does go on the KFR shelf. So the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. So Dog Day Afternoon makes it on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. It is streaming roulette week.
Oh, we're on it, baby.
Get ready, brother.
Wow. Hogan?
Yeah. Listen here, brother. So we spin the very real wheel that's the size of Rhode Island. We spin it 3 times. It lands on 3 different movies that need to be at least a year old. I forget to mention that all the time. And then we pick the one out of those 3 that we would like to watch the most. So without any further ado, here comes the first spin. Watch out for the automobile. This looks like a weird mother fudge stick.
1966.
Yes.
It's free on a lot of services, so that's nice to see.
Those are some Eastern European names for sure.
Oh, yeah. Good luck.
It is going to be on Tubi and Freevee.
And Amazon Prime and YouTube.
Yes. A very good cop... that seems a little dubious. A very good cop tries to catch a very insidious and extremely clever serial car thief. The bitter irony is that the thief is not very clever, absolutely not insidious, and a virtuous person and his friend. It's a comedy. That sounds fucking hilarious.
Oh, my God.
It is directed by Eldar Ryazanov, written by Emil Braginsky. Eldar Ryazanov, I apologize immediately for this, is starring Incontier, oh my goodness, Smoke Tunovsky, Oleg Efremov,
This is how I feel with regular names.
Dobzhanskaya, Olga Aroseva. I have to know where this is from. USSR's. Okay, so probably like somewhere in the USSR. It doesn't say. What's the language? Oh my goodness. What movie is this?
Definitely Russian, is it not?
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be Russian, could be
language
Belarusian.
Russian, filming locations, Ukraine, Odessa.
Okay, so, well, it's Ukrainian.
So, a country of origin, Soviet Union.
Well, I mean, if it was made in the Ukraine, it is a Ukrainian movie just under Soviet Union.
It's hanging out there in that
Especially
direction.
right now, Glenn. It is a Ukrainian film. We must not confuse that. So that is Watch Out for the Automobile, 8 out of 10 on IMDb. Honestly,
oh wow,
looks a lot better than I thought it was going to. So without any further ado, here comes spin number 2. Breaking the Waves, 1996. So this is going to be on HBO Max, also known as Max.
Not to me.
As well as That Is It. Oilman Jan is paralyzed. Oh my God, I just exited out of it. Excuse my
Oilman
stupidity.
Jan is paralyzed in an accident.
His wife, who prayed for his return, feels guilty even more when Jan urges her to have sex with another. Ooh. Or it might be Jan. Could be Jan. Directed by Lars von Trier.
Someone's going to be yawning.
Written by Lars von Trier, Peter Asmussen, and David Peary. Starring Emily Watson, Stellan Skarsgård, Katrin Cartledge, Jean-Marc Barr, Udo Kier's in there, of course, as is always the case with Lars von Trier movies. And that, again, is on HBO Max / Max, 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb. Here comes spin number 3.
In 2 hours, 40 minutes, basically.
Ooh.
Damn.
Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain from 2021. So a documentary about Anthony Bourdain. This is going to be on HBO Max as well. A documentary about Anthony Bourdain and his career as a chef, writer, and host, revered and renowned for his authentic approach to food, culture, and travel. Directed by Morgan Neville, starring Asia Argento, Anthony Bourdain. This is, of course, archive footage. Ariane, I don't know how to pronounce it. Ariana Bourdain, Christopher Bourdain, Octavia Bourdain, David Chang is in there, David Cho is in there, Anderson Cooper's in there, a whole bunch of people. It's a documentary.
Definitely a lot of celebrities are going to be in
Emeril Lagasse, bam! He's the guy that does that, right? The band.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb. So we have Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain.
That soda is fucking you up.
It really is. Breaking the Waves and Watch Out for the Automobile. God, this is the first time in a long time that I would not mind watching all three of these.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I can't remember if this is the documentary that everybody's like so obsessed about, because this is
I think it came out shortly after he
I was going to say, was this a posthumous one?
I think so. I forget when he went on. Why am I sneezing too? What is happening to me?
Salud, man. Salud.
Oh yeah, he died in 2018, so it's definitely posthumous. Just because of the time of Breaking the Waves, I want to cut that out.
Yeah.
And go with Watch Out for the Automobile or Roadrunner.
I think I might still put that on the Letterboxd watch list that I'll never
definitely
get around to.
I am also doing
Breaking the Wind.
Waves.
Oh, well, I'm doing the other one. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for either one, but I think I'm leaning more towards Watch Out for the Automobile.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Especially, personally, I don't know that much about Anthony Bourdain, so I'm not that heavy to jump on the Roadrunner documentary.
Yeah, same here.
But, I mean, then again, I wouldn't be opposed to watching it, but I think I'd rather have some fun and watch out for that automobile.
Yeah, I agree.
Кто он? Преступник.
Какой преступник?
Современный, культурный, я бы даже сказал, преступник нового типа. За год из одного района угнано 4 автомобиля. 3. Ну вот и вы уже слышали, да? 3. 4-ю угнать не удалось, но скоро с этим будет покончено.
Хищник. Чует приманку, крадется. Теперь пойман.
Прелесть.
Выбежите. Ну что ж, звоните.
Когда?
Yeah.
So, the Ukrainian film under the USSR, Watch Out for the Automobile, available on Freevee and Tubi. That is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film_review. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I'm Mike KFR.
And I am Glen KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we watch out for an automobile, I guess?
Or a tree. George of the Jungle. George of the Jungle.
That's actually what we're watching now.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.